What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trades Talk. I got Sean in the studio. Sean, what's going on, dude?
How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day out there.
It is. I want to be outside.
I know. Well, let's get out of this cave and get outside here in a minute. But, guys, wanted to bring you an update today. It's the last day of July. We've had a lot of crazy stuff happen in July. Last week was Lawn and Landscape Technology Conference. Sean gave a talk there. And, dude, it got a lot of momentum online.
Yeah, no, I felt really good about it. It was a really cool opportunity to get in front of everybody and kind of share the opinion of somebody in the trades and just like an operator view.
I really liked your first slide. So you for those listening, and you guys want to check this out in the disruptors, we posted all the slides. You can check it out there. But you had this picture of an account manager, but with a body inside of it, a technologist. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really cool opportunity. I started in K&D as an account manager, and just through working through as an account manager, I found that I was really distracted. I was distracted with trying to solve problems that weren't necessarily account manager problems, bigger business problems, vision around technology and how to integrate. And I found myself saying we can automate that, right? And it made me not the most efficient account manager, but because the company was set up in such a way to try and find that in me and give me the opportunity to grow and develop. You guys found the technologist in the account manager.
It's pretty cool. And I got to shout out Tony here too, because Tony was the one that came to me and was like, hey, I think there's more here than what we're seeing with Sean, and AI and automations was a big part of that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence in general, guys. We're going to talk about applying that to the landscape industry. One of the big focuses of the weekly update, the Trade Talk, the Disruptors newsletter, everything that I'm putting out, the content I'm putting out, is basically trying to build this really strong bridge between the artificial intelligence community, Silicon Valley, the startups all over the world that are coming into the trades, and the day-to-day people in the trades. The people listening to this podcast right now, you're probably in the truck, maybe you're on a mower, maybe you're behind the desk, but you're listening to us chat about this. And just so you guys know, that is the focus of Trades Talk Weekly Update, is basically build that bridge and utilize K&D Landscaping as a laboratory of where we can go and fail fast and learn things, but ultimately roll out new tech. This week I've met with a number of startups that are either in beta, pre-revenue, pre-customer. Maybe they have 10 or 15 customers. You and I have both been meeting with a lot of these people, and it's really cool to just see what's coming towards the industry. Yeah. But I'll tell you, it's like I'm on the shore of Hawaii looking at the ocean, and I can see the fucking tsunami coming.
Yeah.
And it's moving really slowly. And it's not like a normal tsunami where all the water's sucked out. It's there's some small waves coming, but that set wave is it's coming. Yeah. And I think there's going to be a lot of carnage. There's going to be failed rollouts, failed onboarding. Technologists are going to miss the mark. Landscapers are going to be excited about a product that doesn't actually do what it says it does. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break this down, and then So let's get into it. Let's jump into it. So, Sean, first thing I wanted to ask you is, in the last week, when we talk about AI, what are you using AI for in your day-to-day role as the innovation and technology leader at K&D Landscaping?
Yeah, I mean, almost everything. I mean, I always have an agent going. I have an agent going right now. And it's just one of those things where if you can leverage technology to fix some of the inefficiencies that you create as a human, that's what I try and solve for my day-to-day, is do I need to be spending time in my inbox checking emails, or can I have an agent source through that and pull the highlights that need to be pulled and bring me that information very quickly? Are projects that I have set up with my team right now, or the team at K&D, are they on track, and who has met what leverage point, what needs to happen next? Yeah. That's not stuff I need to keep track of. Those are things that I can have agents do today to keep me on track,
Totally. Keep going. Yeah.
So
keep going.
I think at the end of the day, really, it comes down to defining what I need to do to be the best operator and the best technologist within K&D. Yeah. And a lot of that just comes down to things I spend the most time on that I really don't need to anymore. And it really revolves around making sure I'm in an alignment on my projects, and then making sure that my communication stays proactive and I get bubbled up to the right, like the right layer of information. I don't need to sift through a bunch of things that I don't need to sift through. I don't need to do that anymore. So that's the leverage point for me, like from an efficiency standpoint around AI.
I like how you break that down. Is like everyone's trying to figure out what can I use AI for when, like, I don't ask anyone, and you probably like I'm curious, and I do ask people kind of like, how are you doing this and that, but if you guys want to know how to use AI in your day-to-day more, just fucking ask AI.
Yeah.
Like just start using it and start asking it, and just, just right now, what we were doing this morning, we were using predictive index and we were building out a new job target, and we were working on what this new position is going to do. We're recording the meeting utilizing AI.
Yep.
We're going to we have a bunch of to-dos, and most of those to-dos can be actually done, or at least 90% done with AI.
Yep.
What else? Just let's use this morning as an example. What else are you going to use AI for to get this new job position that we're literally going live today with it? What are you going to use AI for to build this plan out and like onboard all that shit?
Yeah, I mean you that's a glimpse of one of them is is the onboarding. Like you once you have the job description together and really know your target and who you're trying to bring in, that 90-day rollout plan really gets much more clear with AI.
Yeah.
You can set benchmarks based on the job description, based on who you're going to be bringing on into the business, and leverage AI to, number one, say these are the markers that we are going to hit no matter what. Build us out a schedule and tracker that we can proactively use and will like get us to those benchmarks. Through PI, it will let us know what kind of onboarding plan that person needs to go through based on who they are as a person. So you're not just giving them an onboarding plan that is universal. It can be customized to who it is, right?
Predictive index is basically a behavioral analysis tool, guys. So it uses a survey that people answer questions to see, like, for example, do they like to work at a very fast rate of speed with very little information? Or do they want to be given information and then allowed to ruminate on that?
Yep.
Hence your onboarding cadence.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that the cadence can change, the context of the information can change, but you can say we need to hit these milestones no matter what, no matter who it is, and it will start to customize that process for you, right? So I think, I mean, and even in terms of before the hire happens, you can leverage AI to standardize some marketing and make sure that like you're reaching out to the right people. You can create videos through AI and get content built and put together for that stuff. So
right.
I think the standard process, and this is kind of like part of what I talk about on a daily basis, is the process of the business doesn't have to change. You just have to find certain leverage points where you can implement AI and make it a more efficient process for the people and for the company.
So I love that. And tell me a little bit about, again, using this whole like job thing as an example. I think it's just a good example. Job description. A lot of people say, well, you should be writing the job description, not AI, because otherwise you're just like delegating the strategic thought process of leaders. That's a pretty common response I hear to why people don't use AI. They're afraid of losing their edge. They're afraid of, we're kind of chuckling about it because we know I think it's the opposite. But tell me a little bit about how you approach writing a job description. What do you use AI for? What do you put in with your own context?
Sure. I mean, I have a pretty solid vision of what I want. I think you do too. And what I need to front load it with is, number one.
You know what? I'm going to pause you.
Yeah.
What might be good for the listeners is just to explain exactly what this job is. You just said we have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Let's share that, and then let's talk about the job description and how you use AI. I think the context matters.
Sure.
So what's the job?
I mean, it's innovation specialist. So an innovation specialist will be partnered with me and working with me to standardize builds within the company, work through workflows and establish where there are gaps and overlaps in any sort of process that we have.
Yeah.
And really being an advocate in the company for AI and ensuring that the team is on the same page, that they're utilizing it appropriately, that they're really a champion in the business to ensure that everybody is happy with the rollout and is positive about AI.
Yeah. So just basically doubling or hopefully 10xing your capacity.
Hopefully.
It's important to note that I'm going to take you back. Let's talk about job description. So this person is going to report to you.
Yep.
I think it's important for the listeners. And this job description process. Let's go back to that and let's explain how you created it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we used that clear vision of what we want to accomplish and front loaded in a conversation with AI. And there's a pretty standard process I go through when I'm doing any sort of prompt.
Yeah.
Is set the goal. So that's the first thing you're doing. I have a goal that I want to accomplish. My goal is to bring in the best possible candidate for this particular role, describe the role.
Yeah.
And then, so I've established a baseline for AI to operate.
Yeah.
Then I set a problem or something that I'm not clear about, which is the problem is this person doesn't exist in the company yet. And this is a brand new role for not only our company, but kind of the industry.
Yeah.
So do some research and figure out what other companies may have solved this problem in or outside of the industry and help me narrow down and figure out exactly who we need to go for and start to define the job description for me in that way. And then I give it goal, problem, and then layout or structure. So I would need it to be a standard job description. It needs to hit these marks, and I want it to talk about the role, the objectives, and then compensation and future opportunities, and then kind of let it roll. And then there's iteration, and then I'm still involved in the process and guide the process, but I'm not the one having to do the research. I'm not having to go define my problem and spend time, energy, and effort on that problem. It's working on that for me.
I love that. So you're taking your vision, ideas, workflows, the thing that you know of, and then you're allowing that to kind of like polish those ideas and put it into the right format. And so are you genuinely like brain dumping a verbal command to Claude in this case? And what parameters, like what's a perfect prompt or as a perfect prompt as you can get to this whole like job description build?
I mean, I can run.
Question.
That's a deep one. And generally, here's the thing: I'll push back on you a little bit, but I'll start with the first thing. Yes, I'm verbalizing it. That's the best way to get information into AI.
Yeah,
is microphone up. Like it might feel weird the first few times you do it, but the amount of context and information you can get into it by just speaking to it is so important.
Yeah. Keep going.
So you really need to dial that process in and ensure that you're comfortable just talking to it and being able to brain dump, but in a thoughtful process and kind of following that guideline of goal, problem, and structure.
Yeah.
But you'll find that you're like, when you type, you're being very cognizant. You're in email mode, right? I need this to be concise and clear.
Yeah.
And another human needs to get it.
Are you using a project in Claude when you're putting this in?
Generally, yeah. So if it's something I know I'm going to go back to and have to iterate on or like keep like working through, generally it'll be a project. If it's a quick, I just need you to do this quick research for me, it's just a chat, or like I'll work through Cowork so it can do some computer usage and go do the research for me.
But like for this example, a new hire starting and creating a project in Claude of like new hire innovation specialist with a higher goal date of whatever, called September 1st.
Yeah.
You're able to basically train that project, and then everything you do, job description, interview notes, can all go in that project, right?
It loses no context.
Yeah.
And that helps me in the future for training and development too.
Yeah.
So I can always go back to that project, and that project might turn into, we need to hire this role, to now we have this person, and this project can follow them all the way from before they even were hired through their journey at K&D in their career. So that it goes from,
gives them context of what was happening before they were even hired.
Yeah. Innovation specialist. Now your name is John Smith, and we're going to continue to work in this project, and we're going to do our one-to-ones. They'll live in this project. All of the context about who you are and what this role is lives in that project.
So tell me, that project, can you share it with other people on your team?
You can. So you can share the project with other people on the team. They don't necessarily get context on the chats and conversations you've had individually.
Okay.
But they'll get access to all of the files and documents that have been created. So the onboarding plan will live there. Any sort of training plans will live there. The job description will live there. So whoever that hire is can come in and get full context and visibility on their role.
That's super cool. Awesome. So, all right, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like realistic use of AI, because one problem that I see right now happening a lot, I've talked about this in previous episodes, but I just see so many big company CEOs, especially ones with the loud megaphones on social media, kind of bragging about, all the AI they're using, but they just use like buzzwords and corporate speak, and they don't give, everyone's left just saying, wow, I kind of want to buy their stock, but I don't really know what they just said.
Sure.
Like, it's the opposite of first principles. It's basically this, like, you know, salesy kind of charismatic CEO, and he probably doesn't even understand what the fuck is going on in his own company. So, like, I'll give them a little bit of grace there, even though I think the CEO should own it. They're doing that because the board of directors, their stockholders, their investors, their future investors are asking the question, what are you doing with AI?
Yeah.
So if he goes online and says all these beautiful things about AI and what they're using and deploying this and doing this and model harness this and MCP that and native blah, 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 they start to look like they're ahead in their industry. And when they aren't ahead and they're not actually doing anything that's significant, other than like vibe coding some stupid app, they can't walk back what they said, because what's going to happen, right? Negative stock price, negative board review. And the CEO's job of most publicly traded companies, outside of very few people, like, is to kind of like get reelected every quarter by the board and reelected every quarter by the shareholders. And your annual meetings, that's kind of like your goal to basically get a compensation increase and a better deal. So we're disincentivizing the CEOs of publicly traded companies to do really amazing work today. That's why when I look at companies, I look at not publicly traded companies, and I try to understand how they're operating. And this is one of the reasons why Elon Musk didn't take SpaceX public for a decade. So even though, you know, he was building this like $2 trillion monster, and yet did not take it public until it was massive, because he didn't want, and he'll talk about this, he didn't want the public scrutiny to disincentivize his engineering team. And so I think we're at this really interesting crossroads where your old school CEOs are, their incentive structure is actually opposite of build. Their incentive structure is to sell and talk and share, but not really to go and, like, you know, get into the mess and like fail and figure things out, because it's not going to help their stock price. Like, it's not helping our net profit right now at K&D. Our net profit isn't sky high. We're having, you know, our cash flow isn't sky high. We're in a full investment mode right now into technology. Hence this new role we're hiring. Right. This is another investment we're making, and we have more coming down the pipe. We're going to be hiring multiple people into this, you know, innovation and technology team, focusing on robots, focusing on tech. So, you know, if you guys know anyone, if you're listening to this, you know anyone that's really interested in technology and AI, we're actually expanding the net a bit, if you will. We're looking for people across the globe. I don't care where you live. If you don't mind working our hours, like, and you're in New Zealand or whatever, like, let's chat. I'm super excited about that. So anyway, okay, let's move on to the next thing. Circling back, I'm going to read something that Andrew Kraft posted. Shout out Andrew Kraft, Site Landscape, also absolute fucking OG, tip of the spear. He said, last week I was at the Lawn Landscape Tech Conference. The most valuable part wasn't the exhibit floor. Sean's session was worth the trip on its own. He laid out what AI implementation actually looks like inside an operating company, not the pitch version, but the one where you have to pick a starting point and then get people to actually use the damn thing. Clearest direction I've heard on the subject, and it works as well for a 5-truck shop as it does for a company our size and beyond. Talk about a raving review. Andrew, thank you.
First of all, humbled for sure. That was amazing.
And this is your first talk.
No,
good job, dude.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I want to talk a little bit of what Andrew said, but first, just for people who are out there, maybe that have a speech coming up, what'd you do to prepare for the talk?
I mean, not to dance around the same thing, but AI leveraged that a lot for me. Honestly, I mean, it was the same principles of thinking. I had a structure and flow of what I wanted to hit. I know I needed to tell personal stories and explain who I was, number one, and explain who K&D was, but also the process we've been through, I mean, I got some advice and guidance from you as well. The messy middle that we're in right now, that everybody is in, honestly. So I leveraged AI to kind of give me that outline of the speech. I went through and built some slides and tweaked those slides using AI as well. I used Genspark for that.
Genspark, okay.
Yeah. And then just kind of worked that out. And then I ended up building out an artifact in Claude that gave me like keynotes and a spine for the conversation that I was going to have up there, and really let me hit my points. The app also had a timer essentially, so I could time my speech and the different parts of my conversation.
Did you practice your speech ahead of time?
100 times. Yeah. Too many times. Probably. Yeah. I was nervous.
No, you could tell you practiced it because you had this flow and cadence of knowing exactly how you're going to articulate a certain point.
Yeah.
Which I feel like most speakers do not do well. Is they know what they want to say. They've said it 100 times, but when you're up in front of 200 people and you don't have this back and forth, it's fucking hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to articulate.
You're on your own, and you
get lost up there.
Yeah, and then you veer off, and then you've lost everybody and yourself. Yeah.
Like I need to weave back in the old weave.
Yeah. So I mean, I practiced it a bunch. I recorded myself. I had a transcript of it that would play back in voice, so I could just listen to it while I was driving. It was in my head.
Dude, crushed it. So follow up. Andrew said something about what it actually looks like to apply AI. It works great for a 5-person crew to a 500-person crew. What was he talking about? What'd you share that kind of got the whole industry? This is why I wanted to have you on today. Yeah. What'd you share that got the whole industry kind of like shook up? Because I saw your LinkedIn stats.
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking at your, like, who the fuck is this guy? What'd you say on stage last week that got everyone up in arms?
I mean, I think in
a good way.
Yeah, I think a big portion of that really is like, the technology needs to serve the people. And a big part of our vision, my vision and our vision at K&D is $100,000 minimum wage, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the core thesis of that conversation was that we can't just squeeze tech into a box and say, this is the box you open and this is how you use it. It needs to be applicable to the people. And in order to do that, in order to drive for that $100,000 minimum wage, we need to have technology meet where the messy stuff happens, and really like build a process and build technology around the way work actually happens. And I think a lot of times technology companies will go up there and say, it's perfect.
Yeah.
This is it. Tie it to your SOP and now it works.
Yeah.
But when you go out and look at the work, that's not how it happens. There's workarounds and people do things that are easy for them. So a lot of that speech was really about making technology meet people and then supporting people through technology, efficiencies, and innovation to get them paid the right way.
I love that. You debuted a little bit publicly the K&D Operating System, right? Think of you share like we're building this like really cool car in the garage.
Yeah.
And you brought like the steering wheel out. It was like, check the steering wheel out, guys. And everyone was like, ooh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You're like, wait till you see the car.
Yeah.
So you kind of like teased it a little bit. What, like, again, let's just talk about the steering wheel, not the whole car.
Yeah.
What's the operating system that you shared last week that we can talk about publicly at least?
Yeah. I mean, it's a simple building model, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to just tying certain parts of your business, the tech stack that you have today that might be a little messy, and it has to be foundationally correct before you do this. So you have to kind of go back to
like let's just say QuickBooks or Aspire.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Making sure those systems and that data is clean within those systems.
It's clean, yeah. You have to make sure that, Aspire is updated correctly. The data's right. Those reports that are coming out of Aspire are accurate. Same thing for QuickBooks. And then being able to tie that data to a standard database that AI can then read really effectively and efficiently.
So so a lot of people are kind of taking their QuickBooks and say, oh, there's a Claude connection, or Claude has a QuickBooks connection.
Yeah.
Done. They're linked. My software is now talking to each other.
Sure.
But I've learned, thanks to you and John, that's not quite how it works.
Yeah.
So what are people missing when they just connect Claude and QuickBooks? Because I think that's just such an easy explanation for the people listening.
Yeah. I mean, when you connect Claude and QuickBooks, it's still speaking QuickBooks language. QuickBooks has a very, very straightforward infrastructure on how it organizes data. But when you're querying it with Claude has no common language or glossary that it's using. It's making a lot of guesses. Hallucinations, if you will. Yeah. So
do you think QuickBooks trusts Anthropic with opening up their entire database?
I mean, obviously they did because they had to be a part of that connector.
Yeah.
But I would bet that there are probably some concerns internally.
Do you think that connector is limited because of the lack of maybe trust with Dario?
Correct.
Because I think we've seen why wouldn't Anthropic just build a QuickBooks module.
Sure.
So I think they're like, we're going to give you some,
Yeah.
but we're going to not give you the fucking recipe. We'll just give you like the garlic seasoning that goes on our chicken, but we're not giving you the chicken.
Yeah, I mean, Anthropic and Dario, and we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, we
don't have time, man.
but yeah, there's definitely some flex and flux in the AI space. So I think, being very cognizant about financial data is very important.
Yeah.
And I don't think QuickBooks is just going to open the kimono and say, here's everything, go have fun.
Yeah.
Because there's liability in that for them. So I think that ensuring that you're building that and you understand the data in QuickBooks and being able to put it in that database in a way that makes sense to whoever's building that so that AI can query it and use that data appropriately and not give it to the wrong people.
Yeah.
If somebody were to ask, if I were to go in today and go, I mean, maybe Justin's salary is in that. Let's find out. Let's ask it bad things. That was an Andrew Kraft quote actually. When he started building with it. It was like, it does all these fancy shiny things and that's great. But let's be a little naughty here. Let's figure out what we can break.
Yeah.
Right? So being cognizant of that, it's not just going to be a tool that people use for productivity. Some people might use it for not the right thing.
Well, totally. So I think that's a really cool concept because, again, you guys, QuickBooks, if you've logged into QuickBooks Online recently, you'll see a bunch of AI native stuff. Like we saw in Predictive Index, AI native. Fucking everybody's coming out with AI native something, and they call it, whatever their four-letter name they want to use for their internal native software. Artificial intelligence that gives you all these like insights, and it's super lightweight. It's backed by some kind of like crappy fucking model. Yeah. It's not using Fable 5. That's for damn sure. Nope. And then you want to point Claude at QuickBooks because the QuickBooks native AI sucks, and then you have this problem with basically sucking data through a tiny little straw. Yeah. And so now you're trying to use Fable 5, but you're not getting context for it.
Yeah.
So the solution that you've created at K&D is basically to take QuickBooks data, dump that into a database, and then take that database and translate the data to, let's just say, Claude language. Yeah. So then you can point Opus 5 or Fable 5 or the newest model directly onto that and get the data.
Yep.
And interact with that data like, hey, like I had to build me a 18-month cash flow forecast and a whole thing in Excel so I can double check it myself. And then what's the other thing here? Let's say ChatGPT comes up with an amazing model tomorrow and you're like, you know what? I don't want to use Fable 5 to connect to my database. I want to use, the new chat, whatever.
Yeah, you're not locked in. And that's the beauty of it, is that you can plug in whatever model you want. You can plug in multiple models if you want. But at the end of the day, the build and we need to be pretty adaptive here because AI is changing so fast.
So fast.
That you can't, and I don't want to say you can't, but my recommendation is you shouldn't lock yourself into one model, one box, and one build plan. You should have a build plan in your company if you're working with technology and AI where you can quickly unplug something and plug the newest thing in, whether that's a software in your tech stack that now has open APIs and you can pull leverage or you can pull software in.
Yeah.
Or a model change, just like you said. We don't have to be tied and burdened by just saying we're a Claude only company.
Yeah.
That ChatGPT and Claude can be interchangeable, and in 6 months maybe we'll do that.
Exciting. And we were using QuickBooks, but theoretically we were on the Disruptors call this week, and we had our AI roundtable on Monday, which was super cool. We're going to do the next one August 10th. This is kind of like a members only thing, but if you're in the Disruptors, make sure to come in August 10th, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Info's in the app. And so during that call, one of the things I realized is people were sharing frustrations, successes. I was kind of taking a list of every software name that was named, from Company Cam to Aspire to Capsa to, the fucking list goes on, even Cress, because Cress has their fleet app, right? And I had 25 plus names, and then I was looking at my Google saved passwords. I have over 400 saved passwords, and I started going through all the logins I have. Predictive Index, Team Engine, Anova, and I realized like our software stack is for sure in the triple digits. Yeah, because I consider our Amex account that holds our credit card information a software solution.
Does it have a login?
Does it have a login? Then it's SaaS.
Yeah.
And then think about all the little like $15.99, like 11 Labs and and Granola, and there's There's so much. So if you guys can just like picture this in your brain of this crazy, fucking splattering of technology on the wall with all these different techs that don't really talk to each other, and you got to log into all these different portals. And imagine a connected brain that has a line, API connection or data pipeline or webhook to every one of these, or at least 90% of these softwares going into a central controlled brain that you can then interact with that brain. So instead of having to go in and log into monday.com to figure out the status of the Smith residence in our design division, you can just ask Claude. And then you can also ask Claude the same question about the profitability of this job and the cash flow of the company and the status of the new hire. So is that kind of where this is going, is where we're starting to give it like a centralized command center, like I don't know, a cockpit of a plane or something?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to a cockpit of a plane. Like you have
That's where my head goes.
I know. You have all your dials and instrumentation there, right? And everything does a specific job, but sometimes whatever this dial does will impact how this dial reads, right?
Totally.
So that same information happens. Like it all needs to live somewhere, and all of those things need to understand what's going on. To go back to just a kind of a simple analogy or explanation, like putting QuickBooks into the database and getting data out is great, but the second you can put your ERP in, Aspire, whoever it is, now you can leverage, you have additional data, and that data is all in the same place. So AI can then predict trends, look at analysis, and start really understanding how all of your data fits together. All of those logins you have, that's lost context. The AI loves context and needs context. It just needs to be organized the right way. But once you can find that unlock, that's really the biggest key.
God, this is such an unlock. And like, all right, you guys listening to this, this is the weekly update. This is what we do. Every week we talk about what we're doing at K&D, super open book. We're building to $100,000 minimum wage, $1 billion in valuation. We want to distribute $150 million in employee equity by 2035. We've got big visions, and we're going to continue to build in public and just share what's working with you guys. And if you guys want to see this in action, right? Like, I don't want to keep plugging the disruptors. You guys know what we do in there. But I will say there's another piece to this that I don't want you guys to forget about. And I'm going to call this the physical AI or physical technology. We're seeing the developments. We're seeing the progress with automation, with our Crest Voyager, with the Crest system. And I don't want everyone to race to the front of the line around technology and the tip of the spear and ignore your physical technology, because since transitioning from gas to electric equipment, our client satisfaction, we had our big 40-year anniversary yesterday. 300 people came by our office. That was
great.
Awesome. Right?
That was so good.
That was really cool. That was a special moment. We had a bunch of mayors come up and give us proclamations. And anyway, it was a cool moment. You guys can see it online. But the really cool part of that is I had multiple clients come up to me, HOA board members, commercial property managers, private school owners or managers, come up and say, hey, one of the things I really love about what you guys do is you're fully electric. And so when you're on site, it's very quiet. And they just couldn't stop raving about the electric equipment and the experience improvement it's had. Whether it's been a client that's been with us for 20, 30 years and they watched and got to experience that transition, or a client that just joined. I mean, we've been selling maintenance like crazy out there. Jamie, shout out. Tony, shout out. Andy, shout out. And the new clients come on board and they're ecstatic because of the difference it is. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows, when you're going all in on tech, don't forget about your field teams, because the more you can automate and the more you can electrify, the more data you can then get. You said context is important for AI, and now you're starting to get really cool data. And we got some really cool stuff coming with Crest around the way they're basically allowing you to connect in to the data from geofencing with cyber tanks, because the cyber tanks have some cool data on board, and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, you guys know what we're doing here. Weekly update, trade stock, whatever we're number on. Drew will update it. I think it's like 59 or 60 here every week, man.
That's crazy.
All right. Anything last words? What's a trade secret? This week's trade secret from Sean.
This week's trade secret.
Yeah, trade secret. We end every episode with a trade secret.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it's new for weekly updates.
Okay.
What's your trade secret in 10 seconds or less?
Really put me on the spot. Hey, guys. I mean, my trade secret is going to be kind of what we just talked about. Leverage AI, find the inefficiencies, and make sure your data and structure is set and clean. You can't do anything without building that foundation.
Good data, good systems, good companies.
Good companies.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.